New Orleans Pelicans won a playoff game last night, Musso. Playoffs, not play-in. Playoffs definitively, and now this series between the Pelicans and the Suns is tied at 1. New Orleans wins as a 10-point underdog last night, 125-114 in Phoenix. The Pelicans a 2-point underdog at the moment, ahead of Game 3 on Friday night in New Orleans. Lots to break down from the game last night. Epic performance from Brandon Ingram. But first, we have to address a Woj bomb, because it looks like Devin Booker is not going to play in either game in New Orleans this weekend, as ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski tweets out that there's still an evaluation ongoing the MRI results of Booker's right hamstring, but it appears unlikely he'll be able to play in games 3 and 4 in New Orleans, according to ESPN. The Suns this regular season 8-6 without Devin Booker. They were trailing by 3 late in the third quarter when he went down, but the Pelicans had a lot of momentum already. Now with Devin Booker going down and looking like he's not going to play in either Friday or Sunday's game, this is a brand new series, one that New Orleans might actually have a chance to win, which sitting here saying right now is kind of crazy.
It's a little nuts, isn't it?
It all escalated so fast.
It's a little nuts.
Listen, the play-in, they had to play their way in. They had to get past San Antonio. They had to get past the Clippers on the road, down double digits in the fourth quarter. All of a sudden, it's a brand new season. They can legitimately win this series.
Now, look, they can. They have a lot of work to do, though. Yeah. I mean, look, obviously the injury to Devin Booker and him most likely missing Friday and Sunday's game in New Orleans is huge. But a caution, okay? The Phoenix Suns had to play without Devin Booker a good bit this year and did pretty well. The Phoenix Suns had to play without Chris Paul a good bit this year and did pretty well. The Memphis Grizzlies played without Ja Morant and did pretty well. You just saw the Dallas Mavericks win a playoff game without Luka Doncic. So, I mean, it can be done. There's still plenty of work. I think if you're the Pelicans, honestly, you want to get greedy and win both of them, but you have to at least split at home. You have to go back to Phoenix tied to really have your best shot at it. But it's wild to think that, yeah, I mean, right now they do. You're getting a bit of a break with the Booker news, but it doesn't matter. I mean, look, you were right there in that game with him going off in the first half. You were leading the game when he went out and left. You had him in foul trouble. Like, they were holding their own with a full-strength Phoenix Suns team last night. So I think that's where you get so much of the emotion, so much of the excitement going forward, knowing that, okay, they're going to be hampered without one of their best players.
And even when Booker was playing, like I said, the Pelicans up 3 when he went down. In that first game, the Pelicans somewhat held him in check, 27 points, but it was Chris Paul and the damage that he did in the fourth quarter that ultimately did him in. And as far as the books go, Phoenix is definitely still going to be expected to win the series. To your point, they only need to get 1 of 2 from their point of view, get back to Phoenix, still have a really good chance to win this series, and they're going to be expected to do that, even with Devin Booker missing games 3 and 4. They're hopeful that he'll be back for Game 5 in Phoenix, but that's yet to be seen. As far as last night goes, regardless of what happens going forward, big win for the New Orleans Pelicans and a big performance for Brandon Ingram, really for the first time on a playoff stage in his second career game in the playoffs. He goes for 37 points, including 26 in the second half, double-digit quarters in both the third and fourth quarters. He had 14 in the third, 12 in the fourth, also dang near got a triple-double. I was a little upset for B.I., not going to lie. Oh, so close. Had 11 rebounds to go with his 37 points and 9 assists. And reflected in the stats there, Musso, not really just B.I. scoring, although the shot making was unbelievable. Just tough shot after tough shot. Doesn't matter who was defending him. But every facet of the game, he gets contested rebounds. He's pushing the tempo, playing really well in transition. Had some really nice passes to his teammates for some easy baskets. The outlet pass that he had to Jackson Hayes, where Joel Myers was saying that he looked like he ran a post pattern, that was a nasty pass. And honestly, when B.I. let it go, I was like, no, don't hit the home run, take the single. But he hit the home run. It cleared the fence by a lot, and I was happy he did. So Brandon Ingram in crunch time has come a really, really long way. Brandon Ingram as a playmaker has come a long way, and he finally showed out on a playoff stage, which he really deserved to.
And that's kind of what I want to take it. The angle I want to take is Brandon Ingram in crunch time, Brandon Ingram the closer, because that's something we've all wanted from Brandon Ingram for a long time, and through the play-in, and now you're seeing it in the playoffs on the biggest stage against the best team. He's closing the game out. You mentioned 26 points just in the second half and total, but that fourth quarter specifically, he was nails. the whole Pelicans team, honestly, was nails. I mean, it felt like every single time they went down the floor late in that game in the fourth quarter, they hit the big shot. Whether it was Jose Alvarado from three, whether it was Brandon Ingram from the mid-ranger for three, whether it was CJ from three. The three-pointer that Brandon Ingram hit at the end of the shot clock late in the fourth quarter was a forced shot. He nailed it, though. It didn't matter. And to see him take control, be the leader of this team without Zion Williamson on the floor, almost get the triple-double. He was such a huge part of your stars being stars last night. I mean, don't forget CJ. CJ was great, too. He almost had a triple-double last night. But Brandon Ingram specifically, it's hard to look at that and not say, man, that's the top 5 game in his career in the New Orleans Pelicans and his career in the NBA. To do it on that stage, to finally, again, be the closer that people had wanted him to be, it was awesome. And just for the Pelicans in general, every shot they hit was massive down the stretch in that game.
Most of them coming from Brandon Ingram, and he played so well alongside CJ McCollum, as he has been recently. Like, those two guys really are a good fit next to one another. Can't be denied. Like, CJ the last couple of games hasn't really had to explode offensively, but I think he's done an excellent job of kind of picking his spots, playing off of Brandon Ingram when he needs to, and being aggressive when he needs to. And kind of a weird game for him yesterday, but some really timely shots, including 6 3-pointers, 6 of 10 from downtown for CJ. Kind of an odd night. 1 for 8 from 2-point land, 6 for 10 on his threes. But he kind of knew Brandon Ingram had the hot hand. I thought he deferred when he had to. And after the Suns limited McCollum and BI to 13 out of 42 in that game 1 from the field, BI and McCollum combined for 20 of 39 shooting in this game, including 9 out of 13 from 3-point range. So McCollum's somebody who, yes, he's a volume scorer when he needs to be, and he's a better playmaker than I thought he was, honestly, coming from Portland. But the most important element that he brings is his experience, and that's shown not just in this playoff series, but in the 2 play-in games as well.
And your stars were stars, right? And that's ultimately what you want. Now, look, I'll say this. The one bit of consistency that New Orleans has shown so far in this series has been the third quarter. And it's something that we've talked about a lot all year long, Mario, is the improvement in the third quarter this year after they were just dreadful. And I mean dreadful in that period last year. And you didn't quite replicate, right, the third quarter you had in game 1, but you were darn close, and you were able to separate. They went into that fourth quarter with a 7-point lead. And then they withstood the punch from Phoenix right out the gate. 7-point lead. It quickly was put down to a 2-point lead. After a 3 and a 2 for the Suns there to start like the first 2 minutes or so of that quarter. So I mean, the second half's continued to be great. The third quarter though specifically, and that's been your 1 point of consistency here in this series.
Yeah, somebody needs to make the meme with Willie Green as Bugs Bunny with the secret stuff, because he's had it going into the third quarter all season long, really. But here in the most important games, the Pelicans outscored the Suns 69-53 in the second half yesterday, 34-22 in the third quarter. That's after the Pels won the third quarter 37-26 back in game 1. So you've won the third by double digits in both games on the road. That's really impressive. Hopefully that's something that carries over into these games in New Orleans. And they really needed that third quarter after what Devin Booker did in that first half, because before he went down with the injury, man, he really had it going. 31 points before halftime. He had 7 3-pointers, which was a career high, 7 out of 8 from the 3-point line, 12 for 18 from the field. He ended up leaving with the injury, and I think the Pelicans were going to make some adjustments anyway and slow him down a little bit, but Devin Booker was on some kind of tear. He looked like he can go for 70 again. People forget that Devin Booker scored 70 points in an NBA game once, and he looked like he was maybe on pace to do that in a playoff game. So nobody's happy that Devin Booker's injured. He will be back in this series, but definitely a fortunate break there for the Pelicans.
Yeah, and look, again, and you had him in foul trouble, I mean, throughout that game as well. Him and Chris Paul both. So I mean, if you could take both of those guys off the floor, the Suns are obviously weaker. I mean, look, Ayton's a very good player. Jay Crowder's a very good player. But when you take the two best off the floor, they're going to struggle. And New Orleans was able to do that last night. It was a phenomenal win. You know what? Look, we haven't talked about Jackson Hayes yet either. Jackson Hayes in that third quarter, he had himself a whale of a time. I mean, the way he was running the floor, both offensively and defensively, in transition, blocking shots, throwing down monster dunks, like you mentioned, from the outlet pass from BI. He was massive in that third quarter for New Orleans.
Jax was really good, and I was so wrong about him going back to the beginning of the season. Like, the improvement he's made just this year is unbelievable, and a lot of people wanted to bench him, including some people that we talked to here on the show, but he got the start and didn't really fill up the stat sheet 9 points, but I agree with you. He played some really good basketball, and he was necessary to the win yesterday. Just a few observations here before we go to break. Chris Paul destroyed New Orleans in the fourth quarter in that game one, but the Pelicans did a much better job against him this time around. CP3 just 5 of 16 from the field, 17 points. And speaking of Chris Paul, Musso, Willie Green has accomplished something that both of his predecessors, Stan Van Gundy and Alvin Gentry, did not do, and that's defeat both Chris Paul and Anthony Davis in the same season. So even more reason for Pelicans fans to love Willie Green, who, by the way, is showing that he is legitimately a really, really good young rising coach in the NBA.
Oh, I mean, he's been phenomenal. I mean, and look, if you thought that the New Orleans Pelicans were going to go down easy in this series, then you just have not been watching. Like, you have not been paying attention.
And Larry Nance continues to keep it rolling. He is shooting 13 out of 17 from the field the last 2 games, 13 points in this one. And Herb Jones, I thought, hit some big threes there in the second half, showing kind of his offensive arsenal, a little jab step, a little step back. Like, he has come such a long way from the beginning of the season, and we all know what he can do on defense. Now, the next 2 games, Herb Jones maybe focus exclusively on matching up with Chris Paul and slowing him down. Don't have to chase around Devin Booker. That could be huge for New Orleans. And then Jonas Valanciunas has 38 rebounds in the first 2 games of this series. That is the 4th most in NBA history through the first 2 games of a postseason, behind only Kevin Garnett back in 2002, Dwight Howard in 2008, the year that the Magic made it to the NBA Finals, and Kevin Garnett back in 2004, KG's MVP days with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Jonas Valanciunas is just dominating the glass in this series, and I think that will be an advantage for the Pelicans going forward.
Hey, what else is going to be an advantage for the Pelicans? Friday night in the Smoothie King Center. That the Suns may survive it, but right now they're walking into a buzzsaw in that building on Friday night.